Now we saw the different types of layouts such as linear layout, then relative layout, then we also saw the table layout, then we saw a constraint layout. After that we saw a frame layout. Now based on these layouts, we'll be solving some of the problems. Now same or the similar kind of problems you are going to be having in your assignments. So let's try to solve some of the problems. Now let's see this particular design here. Now here we have 3 buttons which are one below another. Now can just anybody tell me that which layout will be useful here? Anybody? Which layout will be useful here? So we saw different types of layouts exist in the Android. So after seeing this design, which layout will be useful or which layout will be helpful here with minimum coding? Yeah. So Kaushik is saying linear layout. Yeah. So linear layout will be useful here. So we said a linear layout is a layout where the elements are aligning either one below another or one front of each other. This is basically called as a linear layout. Now, based upon the elements are one below another or in front of each other, we decide the orientation of layout. So this is the orientation. Anybody knows what will be the orientation here? What will be the orientation of this linear layout? So this first 20 minutes we are going to solve some of the problems. So please be interactive in your chat box. Whenever I ask the question, please be interactive in your chat box. Yeah. So exactly right, Reshma. Will be using the orientation as vertical. Okay. So horizontal means we are keeping the elements one after another. Okay, in a horizontal line. But here, since the buttons are one below another, we can say the layout will be linear with orientation vertical. Now we observe this particular layout. Once we observe this particular layout, we can say this is again a linear layout with the horizontal orientation. So let's design it very quickly. So if any of you haven't understood in the previous lecture, you can understood it again. So we have this particular XML file, that is activity main.xml. You can see it here. Now we'll go to the coding perspective of this. So I'll click on code so I can get the XML here. Now what we'll be having here is, we'll have here the XML code window, and at the same time we'll try to have here is the preview window also. Okay, so that you can click by, that you can show by using the layout validation button here. So once I click on this layout validation button, you'll be seeing the layout preview here. Now as usual, I need to remove this particular text view which says the hello world, and I'll be changing the constraint layout to the linear layout. So just type a linear with capital L, and once you hit the control space, you'll see the suggestion here. Now one thing we have to do here, or we have to remember here, we must type the orientation. And as we know, here the buttons are in front of each other. We have to use the orientation as the horizontal. So we'll use the orientation as horizontal here. Now we'll add the buttons. So button width is equal to wrap content, height will be equal to wrap content, and this button was having the text as red. So simply say it red, and now what we'll have, simply copy these buttons and paste it one below another. Now these buttons will be placed in front of each other. The reason behind this is we have used the layout as a linear layout with the orientation horizontal. Now additionally, if you want to cover this extra space or extra empty space, what we saw here is you can assign a same weight to each component. In this case, we are assigning the same weight to each button. Now, once we have the same weight to each component, they will occupy the same amount of space across. Now here you can see. Now you can obviously change the text here. So what we said is red. This text will be green, and this text will say it's a blue. So this was a linear layout. Quite easy. Now the next layout that you are supposed to design is this. Now can anybody tell me what will be the layout which will be useful here? Now here if you see, here total how many components are available. So this is a text view 1, this is edit text 2, this is the text view 2, that total 3, this is one more edit text 4, and 2 buttons. So 4 plus 2, total 6 components are there. So which layout we can use here? Which layout we can use here? Exactly, relative layout will be the easiest one that we can use here. Additionally, we can also go with the constraint layout. Because what we said is the constraint layout is the more powerful version of the linear layout, relative layout, and hence we can go with the constraint layout. And one of the advantage of the constraint layout is it supports a drag and drop. So let's try to design that so that you can understand the constraint layout again. So there will be a good revision for the constraint layout. So we'll go to the design mode now. So here you can see currently I am into the code window. Now let's go to the design window. Now once we go to the design window, here you can look, I have a design window here. So let me size this so that I can have a proper preview of all the windows, and I'll zoom it. Now we'll delete all these buttons available here. So I'll simply delete those buttons, and this particular linear layout I'll be changing into the constraint layout. Now, we have basically is one text view. So we'll simply take one text view here, and we'll simply add this text view here. Now, as you can see, the text view is visible here. So the text add here is username. So I'll add the text username here. Now, once I add the text username here, you have to assign the corresponding constraint to this. So minimum 2 constraints are required. So I'll add one vertical constraint by connecting the vertical anchor points, and one horizontal constraint by connecting the horizontal anchor points. So this is a username field. Now what we have is basically need to take one text box, okay, which we generally call as edit text. Now this is the edit text that we have. Let me refresh it. Now here is the edit text. What we have to do is for this edit text also we have to set the constraint. So this edit text will be constraining against this particular text view horizontally, and at the same time I'll be constraining it vertically with the top of the parent. Now here you can see I added the constraint here, so edit text will be available here. Now what we'll do is simply we'll take one more text view and we'll add it here, and we'll call this particular text view as the password. So let me refresh it. Yeah, now you can see it's visible here, and similarly we'll add the constraint of this with the username, and the constraint of this will be again horizontal is also with the username. The reason behind this I am adding both the constraint with the username is if I both horizontal and vertical constraint of the password text field with the username, then it will align at the same position of the username. Okay, so my job will be easy for designing. You can see here. So password is aligning exactly below the username. The reason behind this is align the constraint of password, both the vertical as well as the horizontal constraint, with the constraint of the username. Same thing we can do here for the password. Will simply drag and drop the password field here. For this also, I'll be setting the constraints. So one constraint I'll be setting with this, and another horizontal constraint of this I'll be setting with the horizontal anchor point of the edit text. Okay, that's it. And later way, what you can do is you can add the buttons. This one button that I have added. Let me refresh this. And for this button, I want to take its width as match parent. So rather than wrap content, I'll take it to the match constraints. And I'll be adding the constraints horizontally. So it will take the full width. Okay. Now why it is occupying the full width? Because what I have done here is I have specified here it as the match constraint. So if I click this are inward, then we can say it's a wrap content. If I click this one more, and if we get such kind of line, a straight line, this will be called as the fixed size. And if you want to match the constraints, we'll click one more time, and once we get such kind of zigzag line, we can say this is basically a match constraint. Now one problem that we have here, the button is entirely matching the parent, so we need to set some kind of margin here. So this margin you can set here. So I'll set 20 margin from the right, 20 pixels, and I'll set 20 pixels of margin from the left. So there will be a margin from the both side. Now we'll have the same button here. So for this button, we'll be calling it as login, and we'll take one more button and we'll simply place it here. And we'll again set both of the constraint of this particular button with the parent. So right side constraint is aligned with the right point, and the left side constraint is aligned with the left anchor point. Now for this button also, we'll make its width as match constraint, and on the both side I'll give the margin of 20 dp each. Now as you can see, if I'm aligning or giving the margin of 20 dp, now if I go to the design mode, you'll be able to see how this particular layout looks. Okay, so this is how we can basically design the layout by using any of the layout manager. Most of you have given the relative layout. Again, the relative layout is the correct answer, but according to my suggestion, if you use the constraint layout, it will be very much easy than the relative layout. Okay, so my suggestion will be, if you have a more complex layout, you can go with the relative layout. But rather than using a relative layout, if you even go with the constraint layout, it will be very much easy and it will consume very less. So that is my suggestion. Again, if you use the relative layout, it's okay. It's a good choice. Again, for this particular design, again, which layout we have supposed to use, which we are supposed to use here? Any suggestion? Any suggestion? Which layout we are supposed to use here? Yeah, I need you to be responsive so that I can go further. So please type your suggestions or the answers in the chat box. Yeah, so for this particular layout, I think my PDF is visible to you. The design is visible and I'm audible. Yeah, so constraint layout or relative layout is exactly correct answer given by Vaibhav. For this particular layout, I think we have already designed it. Here we have the image in the background, and this is overlapped by two buttons. Okay, so we can say that this is basically a frame layout. Exactly. Now here, what will be this layout? What will be this layout? Any idea about this? What will be this layout? Exactly. So this layout will be a table layout. Okay. So this is how we can design the basic layouts for our Android app. Let's try to have a look about at the some. Okay. So I'll not show all the layouts because these layouts you are supposed to solve as your assignments. But let's try to have an idea about how to design some kind of advanced layouts. So these are some advanced layout that we have. Let me zoom out this. So these are some advanced layout that we have here. So what you are supposed to design is, this is a design 1 or design A. This is a design B. This is design C, and this is design D. Okay, so all designs you are supposed to design here. Now let me show you one of the design, how you basically go with this. Now basically for this design A, what you suggest, which layout we should use for this design? Which layout we should use? Exactly. So we can use a table layout. Let's try to design it very quickly. So we'll add one activity. So app, click on new, then click on an activity, and we'll select one empty activity here. That activity as design A. So we'll be naming here it as also a design A here. So design A, and click on finish. Now it will take some time to add the activity. Building a Gradle. And once this will be finished, you can have the activity which is successfully configured in your app. Now here you can see the design A is added here. Now let's go towards the code window so that we can design the entire using the XML code. So we'll change this layout by using the constraint layout, from constraint layout to table layout. Let me write here table layout. Now as you can see here, we have 3 buttons horizontally and 4 buttons vertically. Okay, so I need to have basically 4 rows. So I can say a table row. This will be one button. So here we'll have one button. And since we have 3 columns, we have 3 buttons in each row. Now let me add a weight for this. So I'll add a weight as 1 for each button so that they will occupy the equal amount of space across the width of the parent. Now, since we already said there are 4 such rows, so we'll add 4 rows here. Now we have the, which is quite similar to this particular window. Now what we are supposed to add is the icon. Now 2 ways are possible for adding the icons. Either you can go on the internet and download the icons separately, or you can make use of the material design provided by the Google itself. So in order to provide the material design, the Google provides some icons basically called as the material icons. Simply use this. So what we'll do here is we'll simply right click on the drawable. So we know all the image resources or the icon resources that we are supposed to add. We'll be adding it to the drawable. So that we'll be clicking on the drawable. So we'll right click on the drawable. Now after right clicking on the drawable, you can select on image asset. Okay, you can select on image asset, or from here you can basically add of images. If you want to add any vector asset, you can click on drawable new, and you can go for the vector asset also. Now basically from here you can add any kind of image. Okay, let me see any image is available or not. So this particular clip art, so by default it is showing the Android logo. So if I click on this clip art, you will be able to see the various vector icons. These are basically called as the material icons. Google material design. So this is the aeroplane. Let's try to find out whether the aeroplane is visible or not. So this is the icon that we have. Now you can see basically here the color of this is white. So what we'll have here is we'll change its color. We'll change its color from black to white. So all F means white. You know this RGB coloring system. So we'll choose this particular color. We'll click on next. Now if you want to change the name of the icon, you change. So I'll call it as BTN1, and then we'll click on next and click finish. As you can see, inside a drawable, BTN1.xml is added. Now we can add this particular icon here. Now what it says airports. Add the text here. Now we'll add the text here as airport, and below that, above that we have to add the icon. So for that we have one attribute that is called as the drawable. Now drawable bottom means it will draw the image at the bottom. Drawable end means it will draw the image at the end. We want the image to be at the top position, so we can say drawable top. So we have a drawable top here, and that will be from a drawable folder, and the name of the image that we have is BTN. Okay, now here you can see the image. Now this image is slightly small. We need to increase its size. Now from we can increase the size. Okay, so currently I am in design in XML. Here we have this particular image. Now if you want to increase its size, we can go to the button1.xml, that is to our image file. Now here you can see we have this particular image, which by default height and width we have as 24 dp. Now you can increase it, so we'll set this size as 50 dp for both width and height. We can say that height will be 50 dp as well as width will be 50 dp. Now if I go here, you can see the size of the image is slightly high or increased. We'll try to increase the size more. So we'll make it as 100 dp and 100 dp. Now you can see the image is added now. Okay. Now what we have to do is basically we need to change the background color of the button. So for that, what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to use an attribute called as the background, and we'll simply type #000. Okay. Now what we'll make? So we'll have the #000, which will make the background color as black. Okay. Now we have to change this color to the pink. Now once we enter the back, here you can see one black tile will be visible. You have to just this particular black tile, and you'll be seeing one color chooser here. So I'll be simply choosing a pink color here, and I'll simply add this color and press the enter. So let me choose some dark color, and we'll just hit the enter. And once we hit the enter, you can see this color will be applied to this particular button. Now what we'll do is, rather than applying a separate icon to each button, I'll be copying this for all other things. So I'll copy this code for all the buttons. So afterwards you can change the icon on these particular buttons, but currently for the sake of example, I'm keeping the icon as same. Okay. Now what they have done here is, within these buttons we have some space here. So for that you can add some kind of margins. For that you can have some kind of margins here. So for every button you can add a margin. So I can say a button have margin from all the sides of 10 dp. Okay. So what is the difference between only margin and margin top? So if I use margin bottom of 10 dp, you can see it will only use the margin from the bottom. Okay. If I want to put the margin from all sides, I'll simply say margin here. So I'll simply say margin of 10 dp. So you can say it will set a margin from all the sides. So I'll simply copy this code, paste it here. So as you can see, it will leave the margin from all this. As you can see, it will leave the margin from all the sides. Let me see whether any margin is remaining or not. Yeah. So as you can, this is how you can basically design any kind of layout by using the PDF file given here. You have to choose the proper layout, and based on that, you have to design these layouts that I have given, which will look similar to this design. I don't expect the exact designs or the exact look and feel, but what I want is at least the colors and the placement of the control should be as it is. Okay. So this is what I'm expecting you after the layout design. All these assignments I have added on your Moodle. So you can go with this. Other than that, if you want any of the design, you ask me. I'll try to solve these particular designs in the live video. If you have any of the doubts in this, please ask you any doubt in this. Whatever the designs we have seen, please ask if you have any doubt in this. Otherwise, we'll proceed further. Yeah, please reply in the chat box whether we should proceed further or if you want any design to be solved here. If you want any design to be solved here, you can ask me, or otherwise we'll proceed further. Yeah, so design C. What's the design C? Yeah, so this is the design C. What you want? The design C or D? Design C or D? C. Okay, so we need to take this. How we can do the design C? Okay, so yeah, D. Okay, we'll try to have a look at both. So let's have a look at the design C first. So here we have one icon, one text, two text box, one text view, one button, and one more text. Okay, let's try to have a look at this particular design. So we'll open this particular design that we designed by using a table layout. Okay, now what we'll have is we'll delete all this code. We'll delete all this code. And after that, try to take this design. So first we'll try to solve the C design. Now what we have is this is a kind of which layout we can, which layout this will be? Can anybody answer? Which is this particular layout? Can anybody answer which layout we can use here? For design C, which layout we can use? Anybody? Okay, as you can see here, the controls are one below another. So rather than going to the constraint or the relative layout, even if we use the linear layout, this will be sufficient for the design C. Okay, if you look it very closely, you can see there is one image, below that we have text, below that we have two text boxes, below that we have one text view, and below that we have a button. Okay, so even if you use a linear layout, this will be very easy. Okay, so let's try to do that. So we'll change our layout from the table layout to the linear layout, and for this we'll be having the orientation as the vertical. For this we'll be having the orientation as the vertical. Now we know here we have first of all one image. So for that we'll add the image view. So wrap content, and for this particular image view we'll add one image here. So we'll currently add this particular image of plane. Okay, so rather than searching for the image again, we'll add the image of plane here. Now we'll choose the color of this image as background, as black. Okay, of course you can download any image from the internet and you can set it here. Okay, just for a demonstration purpose, I'm going to set this particular image color as black. So it should be set here. And once we set this color here, you can see the image is available. Now what I need to center, so I can have here is this particular image will be at the center. So gravity, I can set it as center horizontal, will be horizontally centered. Now I need to have some kind of margin from the top. So I can say margin top will be around 20 dp, or let's increase somewhat, about 40 dp. Below we have text. So below the image text, that is basically done by text view. So width will be wrap content. Again, this is at the center. So we can say the gravity will be center horizontal, and the text here is called chat Zulu. So we'll simply copy the same text. Okay, now this text has somewhat margin from top. So we'll add a margin from top. That's from image view here. So we'll add a margin of 20 dp, or let's add a 40 dp margin here, and we'll increase the text of the size. We'll increase the text size 50 sp. Now you have to look it very carefully. If I am giving the size of margin or giving the size of image, I'm using the unit as dp, that is the device independent pixel. But for the text specifying the size, I'm using the sp as a unit, that is the scalable pixel. Okay, so you have to always remember this. And now what you have to use is the edit text. So this is the first edit text, whose width is match parent, height is wrap content. And for this text view, I have to put a margin from both the sides. So I can say margin as 40 dp, or let's say 30 dp. And what it prints is enter the username. So for that, I'll simply write the hint as the username, and we'll have one more edit text. And here we'll say we are asking for the password. Now what we'll have below this is we'll have, so we have a button says sign in. So width is match parent, height will be wrap content. This button says is basically sign in. So let me add the attribute as text, and the attribute text says sign in. Okay, now by default the sign in all letters are shown capital. Now here we want S as capital. So what we can have here is the text all caps property. Now text all caps property will be set to false, and once we do that, you can see we'll have only S as capital. Now we'll increase the text size somewhat. So text size will be about 40 sp. Yeah, so this is too large. Let me make it as 20 or 25 sp. Yeah, so this is okay. Now we'll add a margin to this particular button. So I can say margin for this particular button will be again 40 dp from all the sides. Let me have 30 dp. Now once we add this particular margin, the button is spaced from all the four sides. Now what we have to add somewhat spacing within the button. Now for adding the space from the outside is called as the margin. Now if you want to add the space from the inside, it is basically called as the padding. So I want the space around this particular sign in text within the button. I want the space should be added around the sign in text around the button. For that, what I can add is a property called as the padding, and I'll set the padding of 10 dp. I'll set the padding of 10 dp here. So let me increase it 15 dp, or let me make it as 20 dp itself. Now you can see I have added the margin of padding of 20 dp. Now the thing is, this particular button is not a square. This button is somewhat ellipse size button. So we can do that. So this can be done by going to the drawable XML. So let's create one drawable XML here. Simply right click here, click on new, and here we'll create one drawable resource. Here we'll create one drawable resource file. Now this drawable resource file, you can name it anything. So I'll say custom btn. You can obviously name it anything. I have named it as custom btn. Here what we have to see, its design. So here we'll be designing a custom. Here we'll select one item, and this particular item will be a shape. Now shape will have its type. So let's take a shape with of type, where this shape is nothing but the rectangle. Now for this particular, we need to add the color. This particular color has to be added. So let me add the size of it. So shape size, height of 40 dp, 400 dp, and let me add the width as 200 dp. So height should be less and width should be larger. Okay, and then we can add a color to this particular button. So I can say solid color as black. Now you can see one rectangle is visible to us. Now what we need to have is this button should be visible as an oval. Okay. Now for that, we'll try to use a corners, and the corners radius will be around 40 dp. Okay, let me increase the radius slight a bit. Yeah, let me increase it more. Yeah, so let's have 80 dp of radius. Now you can see it's looking like a oval. Okay. Now the thing is, this button is having the gradient here. So let me choose the gradient. So we'll simply delete this solid color here, and we'll simply select a gradient. So gradient will have the start color as, let's set it as 000, and we'll change it to the purple color. Then we have the, yeah, so this is the start color. This is the start color. Then color at the middle or color at the end will be a pink or dark red, we can say, and center color will be the pink color. Let me set a pink color here. So you can see we have designed this button with the gradient. Now this gradient is exactly matching with the gradient that you have in your design, but you can take your own time to match the colors. Again, our aim is not to match the colors. Our aim is to see how we can design the user interface. Now for this button, I need to set this particular background that we have created, and the background name is custom button. So we can set the background, and the background is from drawable, and it is called as the custom button. Now you can see the button is visible. Now the text we have here is of white color. We can set here as text color as #FFF. Now according to the RGB, you can say this is basically a white color. All F means. Okay. I think the design is clear to you. Yeah, I think the design is clear to you. Okay, so basically I have designed this particular layout very quickly. Now since we have the recording of this particular lecture, you can obviously watch this recording afterwards if any of this thing have missed by you. Okay, now what we'll try to cover is a next part or the new part of this, and the new part of this we'll try to cover is basically today is something called as the intent. Okay, so in this part we are going to try with something called as the intents. Okay, now the first question is, what do we mean by the intents? Okay, so intents can be defined as, in Android application, what we have the different components. Now what thing we have here is the components can communicate with each other. Okay, so basically what we have is the components can communicate with each other. Now if you want to take place the communication, okay, if you want to take the communication across the component, then this communication can be done via the intent. Now basically intent is an object as we have written here. Now if this is an object, then intent must have a class. Okay, so this is the class we have for representing the intent. As you can see here, the intent class is present inside a package android.content. So we can have a fully qualified name of the class as android.content.intent, and this is basically a class which is the direct child of the java.lang.object. So we have the intent as a direct subclass of the Java lang object class. Now basically let's try to understand the intents, basically how the intents are or how the intents takes place. Okay, so suppose this is my Android device. Now let's try to open the app. Now once we open the app, we can see here we have basically one activity here. Now this is the activity 1, or let's call this as the activity A. Now suppose if I click on this particular activity, so if I click on the BTech IT group, okay, so once I click on this BTech IT group, you can see one another activity will be launched. Now this activity is now the chat window. So here we have a list of different chats, and if I click on any of the chat, you are opening a specific chat window. Now this is what we are saying, the communication. Activity A, if I click on the specific chat, I'll be navigating to some another activity that is called as the activity B. That is called as the activity B. Now this is a communication which is done via the object called as the intent. Okay, so this is the activity called, this kind of communication is called as the communication via the intents. Now let's try to see how we can communicate the components. So as you can see here, so we have the activity 1 which will be communicated via the other activity. So this is the activity 1 and this is the activity 2 that I want to launch, and this launching is supported by the object that is basically called as an intent. Okay, so let's try to understand this. So before going to the intents, okay, let's have the idea about the intents. So we understood what is the use of the intent. If you want to launch one activity from another activity or one application from the another application, it is done via the intents. Now which are the types of intents we have? So basically the intents have two types: explicit intent and another is called as the implicit intents. Okay, so what do you mean by explicit intents? So whenever we are launching a component, then which target component has to be communicated is already known. Then this particular intent is called as the explicit intent. Means For example, if you want to launch activity B from activity A, then to know which that exactly activity B is. And if we know this, then we can specify name of that activity B, and that is basically called as the explicit intent. Now, if you don't know the name of the activity to be launched or to which the message to be communicated, then such kind of intent is basically called as the implicit intent. So let's try to have a look at the explicit intent. Now, we already said if the target component to be communicated is already known, and if we can specify the name of the target component explicitly by mentioning its name, then it is called as the explicit intent. Okay, so let's try to understand it in a better way by looking at the example. So let me close this particular project and let's create a new project here. So we'll create an empty activity here, and this we'll call a my application, or let's call it as demo intent, or I'll be calling it as demo explicit. And click on finish. So as you can see, it's loading our project. So we'll wait till till this project loads. Okay, now you can see here we have only one activity, main activity. Now let's try to rename it. So we'll simply right click it, and after right clicking it, we'll search for the refactor. So there is no direct option available for rename, but we have some other option that is basically called as refactor. So if you want to rename this activity main activity, so we'll click on the refactor, and inside the refactor we'll choose the rename. Now I'll change its name from main activity to A. So we'll call this activity as A, and we'll click on refactor. Now as you can see, the name of the activity is changed. Okay, now it's changed to the A. Now let's add one more activity, and we'll make this particular activity as an empty activity again. So we'll right click here, and again we'll choose an empty activity, and for this activity we'll now call as a B. Now click on finish. Now as you can see, we have two activities, activity A, and corresponding to activity A we have a.java. We have another activity, activity B, and corresponding to activity B we have b.java. Now this is the Java code for activity A and activity B. Now we'll look at the XML code for the activity A and B. So we have activity b.xml. This is the XML code for that. And we have the activity main.xml. This is the XML code for activity A. So let me try to change this also. So we'll again right click on this, and we'll click on the refactor rename. And here we'll simply call it as activity underscore A. And now we'll click on the refactor. As you can see, the activity A is a new name for the main activity dot, and now what we'll have here is inside the main activity dot xml or activity A XML, we'll add a one button. So rather than having this text view, we'll simply change this text view to the button. Okay, now here we have one button which says a hello world. Okay, which says a hello world, and on the activity B we'll add one text view here. So we'll go to the code view, and we'll change from the constraint layout to the relative layout, and here we'll have a simply text view here. So we'll take one text view with wrap content, and then we'll have here is some text. So let's say I am, so let me add a text attribute here. So text as I am B. Okay, so let me increase the text size. So text size will be 50 sp and we'll take it at the center. So we'll say enter in parent is equal to true. So IMB is the activity B. So activity B says IMB, and what we have is on activity A is the hello world. Okay, now let's try to run this code. Okay, currently we haven't looked the explicit intent. What we are trying to do is just we are trying to create the application and we are trying to understand the application. And once we understand the application, we'll try to have a look at the explicit intent. So let's try to run this code and see what happens. Now here we have the device preview here. As you can see, it is basically trying to build a project, and once it is built, it will try to run the project. So it will take some time. Just wait till it builds the project. As you can see, a build is finished. It took 1 minute 23 seconds to build this particular finish. And yeah, so once we install this, you can see the activity is launched. Okay, now as you can see, by default activity A is launched. Now what I want is I am currently seeing the activity A. Now what behavior I want from my application is whenever I click this hello world button, I want the activity B should be shown. Okay, I want the activity B should be shown once I click this button. Now this is an example of the explicit intent. Now the reason behind this is what we said about the explicit intent is the target component which should be launched is known. Okay, now how we know this? We know this because we already said once we click from button in activity A, we should be navigated to the destination activity to the activity B. So here we know once we click on this button, the activity that should be launched is the activity B. Now since we know the name of the destination or the target activity, that is activity B, this is the intent, we are calling it as the explicit intent. Okay, now let's have a look at how we can create the intent here. So here, since we want to create the intent in activity A to launch the activity B, we should open the a.java. Okay, here we should open the a.java. Now inside this a.java, we'll create our intent object. So we'll create the intent object in this. So let's say intent I, this is the reference we have created. Now you can see the intent is currently not known. Simply press Alt Enter, and once we press Alt Enter, here you can see it will import the package android.content.intent. So if we have created the intent, now we have to find the reference. So I is equal to, now here you can see how we have created the intent. For creating the explicit intent, we have to use the constructor of intent. Now this constructor takes two arguments. One is the reference of source component, and the second argument is the instance of the destination component. Now if you here, who is the source? The source is activity A, and once we click on the button in activity A, it should launch the activity B. So hence we can say the destination will be the activity B. Now what we have said? We said the reference of the source component and class instance of the destination component. So we can say here is equal to, we'll create one constructor, new intent, a reference of current activity. How we can write this? A dot this. Okay, A dot this means current reference of activity A. Okay, so activity name dot this means the current reference of the activity, and class instance of the destination activity. So destination activity has the name as B, and its class instance means B dot class. B dot class. It means simply I am going to create an intent which will be passed from activity A to activity B. Or we can say for this particular intent, we have the source activity is A and the destination activity is B. It means the message will be passed from A to the B or to the activity B. Okay, so this is how we have created the intent. Now what we have to do here is, once we click on this button, we have to launch that intent. So for that, what we'll be doing here is, we'll go to this particular button. For this button, we'll add one attribute here, and that attribute will be on click. So we'll simply add on click attribute here. And for this particular on click attribute, we can write anything. So let's say we'll write ABC. Okay, so it means I'm going to create a method ABC once the user click on this particular button. Okay, now currently you can see ABC is not available here. So again, I'll simply press Alt Enter here, and it will ask me to create ABC inside A. So what I did here, since it is showing a red color error, I'll just press a cursor here and use a key combination Alt Enter. So once we click on the create ABC, you can see a method ABC is created inside which activity? Inside activity A. Okay, now what we have to do here is, we have to simply launch an intent. Now how to launch an intent? By simply calling a method that is called as a start activity. Now you can see start activity is a method which takes object of type intent. So we'll simply say start activity, and we have the object of type intent whose name is what? I. So we'll simply pass here as I. Now we'll try to run this code. Okay, now we'll try to run this code and see what happens. So as you can see, the project is building. And once the project built, yeah, you can see it will launch. Yeah, so what is saying changes are not applied. Okay, so let me rerun this. Yeah, so it is installing the application again, and it is launching it again. And once it's launched, you can see the activity A is now visible. Now once I click on this button, you can see it will launch the activity B. Now this is what we are calling it as the intent or the intent communication. So what we have seen till now is basically, what do you mean by intent? Okay, what do you mean by intent? So intents are basically the communication object which allows across the different components. Okay, so if you want to launch, for example, one activity from the another activity, it is possible via intent. And what we have seen till now is what are the different types of intents. So we said just the two definition, explicit intents and implicit intents. And now what we are supposed to see is, what do you mean by explicit intents? So what do you mean by explicit intents in detail, and what are the additional things that we can do with explicit intents, that will cover in the next lecture. So till then, we'll stop here. I'll be uploading the assignment on the Moodle. You have to try the assignments regarding to the layout design. So we'll stop it here. Thank you.